Welcome to Buddhaland Podcast. I'm Stacy. This is our final rewind episode from season 1, and our theme is technology. Specifically, what is artificial intelligence, and what does it mean for us as human beings? Luckily, physicist and blockchain entrepreneur believes AI is not yet artificial general intelligence, but already an industrial revolution, a shift as significant as the steam engine or the internet. Raymond Lam, senior writer at Buddhistdoor Global, points to Japan using AI chatbots to bring Buddhist teachings to younger generations, and shares why Buddhism sees humans as having a unique potential to attain enlightenment. Father Reginald Mary Chua, Catholic priest and doctoral researcher at Oxford, reminds us that the very concept of personhood in the Western tradition originates in Catholic theology, and asks at what point, if ever, AI might be accorded personhood and dignity. Khenpo Archen Tenzin, Tibetan Buddhist teacher, speaks to the intangible dimensions of being human that are so easily overlooked and offers an image that has stayed with me. A robot giving Buddhist teachings is like a flame on a television screen. You can see it, but you cannot feel the heat. Sari Shahal, serial entrepreneur, brings a more optimistic lens on the power of the internet and AI to give every person access to a personalized and premium experience of knowledge and opportunity.
Actually, last year, I think I was asking a friend of mine working in the Google AI. That's almost 2 years ago, actually, not last year. I was kind of asking, what is this like wave of AI would evolve to? This LLM thing, I gave him 3 choices. One choice is like, it's just an interesting app. ChatGPT, just an interesting app. You can entertain people, but not really kind of realize anything material. Then the other level is another industrial revolution. So if you see it's an industrial revolution, we're talking about, it's in the same level as like the invention of steam engine, the invention of like a semiconductor, and the invention of internet. Basically, we're talking about that kind of level of development. Like it's a new industrial revolution. That's second level. The third level is ATI. So ATI basically means, you're able to create a God. So that's kind of, you create something that is really like human intelligence. And because, it's silicon based. It can scale up a lot. So eventually, it's gonna be much better than human. It's pretty much a god. So that is so 3 levels of the possibility that the AI could be. For now, when we talk about AI, it's more about this LLM, the large language model related AI. So for that, more and more, I'm convinced. It should be the second level, the industrial revolution level. So it has been very clear that it's gonna improve the productivity a lot. It's more like the appearance of steam engine or the appearance of internet, and it kind of improves the productivity so much that makes a lot of jobs obsolete. That's gonna happen. For example, all these kind of Silicon Valley, they don't really need any entry-level programmer now, because of the AI. And it kind of has largely improved the productivity for order of magnitude, for experienced programmers. So that is not just a useful app. It's more like an industrial revolution level of progress. And we should be able to see many other applications, by the AI. But on the other hand, I don't think at this moment, I'm more convinced it's not going to, at least, the ATI is not really a way to to be reached by LLM. I have many evidences to support the argument, and I do have many friends also. They share the same opinion, from the AI community.
Just recently, we published an article about a Jodo Shinshu priest called Reverend Hondaku, and he's actually a very major proponent of AI. He believes in the potential of AI, especially through Buddhist chatbots, through the construction of like a digital self as a preacher of the Dharma, that young people will feel that Buddhism is more relatable. And in that sense, his idea is not too different from certain people who use music, modern music, whether it's rock or rap or K-pop, to attract younger eyes and ears to Buddhism. I think that's one aspect, that AI is simply something that young people are using, and we should not avoid that. I think also that AI it could lead to greater philosophical questions and debates about the nature of self, the nature of consciousness, whether there is such thing as an enlightened AI, free will. All these are important questions that I think Buddhists should embrace. Not necessarily, like we'll always have different opinions about AI, but I think we should definitely embrace these questions in a sort of open and discursive manner.
Yeah, I think the popularity and development of AI actually push humans to look inward and to reflect on what actually defines a human being. What is being human? What is the essence of it? Because Buddha said that all the sentient beings, we have this potential to attain enlightenment and to reach Buddhahood. Does it also apply to AI? Like, would AI? I mean, for the moment, I don't think AI has the intelligence that we humans have. But as it develops, will it actually have the human's intelligence, and will it also attain enlightenment? Yeah, for me, that's a fascinating topic.
One very interesting thing about Buddhism is the primacy that it places on the human condition, right? In the sense that, you've heard this repeated often, that only human beings can attain enlightenment. Now, it's not really because we were created by God, we have some sort of special destiny. It is simply because Buddhism early on identified something in the human being that had this ability to transform the mind, to transform the consciousness. There have been volumes, entire libraries created to talk about the nature of consciousness. But my understanding is that Buddhism has pinpointed something in the human consciousness that allows it to reflect back on itself and do the work of liberation, of insight. And that's what gives the human being the mechanism to attain enlightenment and to attain liberation. And so I completely agree with you, Stacey. Like this, the AI right now is very much a complement to the development of humanity as things go on. We don't know what the path ahead will be. Various studies in Western countries suggest that, for example, Americans are broadly distrustful of AI. Whereas there are polls actually in South Korea and China that actually show that there is a deeper trust in AI in the public, probably because of different state policy. Because you can direct, certain, government action can direct AI towards various goals that actually benefit, certain institutions like hospitals, healthcare, or manufacturing, things like that. So whereas it's much more of a free for all in America.
This kind of dialogue, I think, can potentially change also, for example, our Catholic understanding of the human person. And, there's one big question about at what point would we regard AI as being sentient or being intelligent or perhaps even having personhood and having a dignity that should be protected if it comes to that. And again, that's a kind of an open question. And I think a very useful tradition from which to think about those sorts of questions is the Catholic tradition, because in some ways, the very notion of a person in the Western tradition comes from theology, from the understanding of the persons of the Trinity. And so the notion of a person has a kind of a divine origin. And being aware of that also, I think, is helpful in kind of thinking about questions like, for example, in what way or when would we want to regard AI agents as persons, right? So I think, the conversation is two ways, and I don't think it's settled. It's a very good question. I think that's part of what is involved in using AI in a humane way and not in a kind of heartless kind of way.
Artificial intelligence, they have their own value and they can make so many things, and but I don't think that they can change something in our conscious, or because when I say that these days AI can make many robots that can also give a Buddha teaching. I just saw in a post last few days before, there's in Japan they make a robot which is giving a Buddha teaching. Wow, that's interesting. So, but artificial intelligence cannot do, or the robot cannot do one thing, that's they don't have emotion. They can't give that kind of the vibration, that kind of the frequency, that kind of the energy that a human being have. Like in like a TV screen, that when we see the flame, but we can't feel the fire on TV screen. But when you see the real flame, that is a really hot. Like artificial intelligence can do so many things. There's so many data that we can input there, so they get so many information, so many data they collect and give a good response what we are asking and what they want. But what they can't give, that's kind of the energy that we human being or all sentient being that we have, especially like a human being, like we can feel that emotion and energy and a frequency and those things that artificial intelligence or those robot can't do. I think that like I can do so many things, but they can't replace like a human being. They all of those things that need help for us. Like even I look Dharma is a kind of the like a tools to make our life better. So AI also make our life better. Just no more thing than that. And I don't think that they can make any kind of the threat.
It will make opportunities available to everyone. For example, like India's already ChatGPT's largest user base at this point in time, which means what we were Googling earlier, we're now asking ChatGPT, right? But what that also means is a lot of personalization can happen now. So, for example, when you are talking to an AI, you're just not talking to like a random call center who'll forget you. They will actually remember this and sort of remember your preferences. For example, in credit cards, right? If you have an American Express, they give you the best service because you're premium, you know. But if you had like a regular small card with only $1,000 limit, you know, you'll get some service. If at all, you have to stay on the phone for half an hour before you get to even a person on the other end of the line. I think what AI will do is it will create a lot more personalization. With AI, everybody gets the Amex experience, you know, and that's incredible, right? And similarly, information will change hands faster. Everybody will have what I call personalized OS. So that's powerful. And of course, everybody can be a builder now, you know, which.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
These are conversations we believe matter deeply at a moment when technology is accelerating too fast. The exchange of ideas across religions, disciplines, and cultures has never felt more necessary. Next week, season 2 begins. Stay tuned. If you have been enjoying Buddhaland podcast, please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Like our episodes and share with anyone you think might benefit. It really does help us reach more people who are genuinely seeking. Thank you for listening. Wherever you are in the world, we're grateful that you showed up. Until next time.